Today's interview is with an artist who is as tough as nails and as sweet as candy. He goes by names like Mutt or That Guy, but ever since his debut in Legends, Magic fans will know him by his proper name. He is the father of Angus Mackenzie, the one, the only, Bryon Wackwitz. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So we'll do the beginning story. We'll get that stuff out of the way. So you were connected to Jesper through your work at White Wolf, correct? Via Richard Thomas, and that's
Richard
how you got
Thomas, the art director. Yes,
and that's how you got your start. So, what was the first meeting with Jesper? What was that like? What was the idea you had?
Philadelphia, 1993, the same year Pete Ventures went. And we didn't know each other, but we both met Jesper at the same show. I had to turn work into Richard Thomas. And he was at the show. So I said, can I drop it off? He said, sure. I went to the show and he said, I have to introduce you to this guy. It's for a new game. And it's amazing. I got to get you in. He showed my work to, took me to Jesper. It was this little teeny booth. I showed my work to him. Jesper hired me on the spot and took a bag and filled it full of beta decks and packs and gave it to me. And of course, I took it home and opened it up, looked at the artwork, and went, because couldn't afford art books at the time, so I was buying art cards. And this isn't a Parkinson. This isn't Clyde Caldwell. This isn't Tim Bradstreet. This is terrible. And gave them all to my 2-year-old daughter, who chewed on them and destroyed them. Yeah, man. You want to look at a fool? Just put my picture up there.
And does she? And now she's grown. Do you remind that of her whenever you're like, you ate?
No, she reminds me of the original Magic artwork I sold for next to nothing about 10 or 12 years ago.
Oh God! So, well, which one was that? Which piece was that?
Oh, Angus Mackenzie was one of them.
Oh, Angus. Oh, and Angus has got. I mean, we might as well talk about him because he has the honor of being the most expensive commander in the game. I believe $500 something is the
growing.
Goal?
Yeah, and growing. Yeah, if you can find him.
Good.
No one's getting rid of him.
He's broke. I mean, he is broken. I mean, he's just like it. I read it and I was like, I don't know if I want to play with somebody who has Angus because that person might be evil. I think maybe possibly, but you had nothing to do with it as far as the design of the cards. But one thing that I find really, really cool about you, one of the many things, is that Donata Giancola was inspired to get involved with the game because of your artwork.
No. So I call him Dan. I don't call him Donato. I've called him Dan since the first time I met because I fuck with people's names. That's just kind of what I do. And so Dan, I knew he was out of college maybe 2 years. He was hanging out with Steve Ellis. And before I got into Magic, I was big into the comic book scene. So I had met Steve Ellis at or maybe it was just when I had begun doing Magic, but I met Steve Ellis at a comic book convention and we became instant friends and started hanging out. And he brought Dan to one of the early shows, and I became instant friends with Dan. We started hanging out, and there was a mystique about being one of the original Magic artists. Everybody wanted in on it. I mean, literally everybody wanted in. Like Bernie Wrightson wanted in on it because they heard of what we were making with our royalties, and royalties back in the day were just phenomenal. Like
I heard
22,000 per card per printing, and I missed out on all the sets. So, but you had some artists out there that were literally making $100,000 a year in just royalties. So everybody wanted in on it, and Dan was curious, and Dan's always been extremely humble, Donato. So I told him, no, you can get in on Magic. And 1995 Essenfest, I was in Germany, and Peter Atkinson and Richard Garfield were both complaining about the artists because we had such instant success as artists. We all became really arrogant, like really, really, really arrogant, all of us.
No,
we thought we were far more than what we were.
And it was across the board. It was, I mean, you would say like everybody kind of got that rock star sort of.
Everybody, yeah, because I mean, we were rock stars. You know, it was instant. So when we first did the game, most of us had no idea what this was going to be. It was $50 advance against your royalties. So we thought, well, we're getting $50 for a piece, and had no idea that it would skyrocket. Like it literally went from a 50,000 to a $50 million company overnight. It was featured in Forbes magazine. I'm sitting here, you know, my work for Legends just got printed, you know, on cards, and I'm opening Forbes magazine, and there's an article about, you know, Wizards of the Coast.
God, what was that like?
It was like being a rock star. People, I couldn't understand it because I'm not used to. I have kind of imposter syndrome. Even today, I don't feel like, you know, my artwork's good. I feel like I suck. You know, and a lot of us feel that way. A lot of us.
I have talked to more. I mean, from Steve Belladin to Irish Compete to the newest. I mean, it's John, and I've said this before. John Avon told me that he doesn't understand why people like his art.
Yeah,
and I mean,
I'm there.
It is for me again. It is for a non-artist. It's incomprehensible because to no, you don't suck. You just don't suck. I mean, it's not correct. You are incorrect. All of you are incorrect. But I understand it's a thing you have. I don't understand it, but it's there. I guess
it's the now. I would assume most of us original artists, but not all of us, would probably tell you the same thing. But we got really arrogant overnight because we became these. It was the weirdest thing. It was, you know, used to go to shows and pay sports celebrities to sign cards, and here we were in their position, and people were, you know, just idolizing us. I'll never forget. I went to one show in a comic book store, and this woman came and goes, Pendelhaven, I love your artwork. Oh, you're so good. It was like groupies. And I'm looking at them horrified, like, you know, I suck, you know? Oh, yeah, I don't know. No, appreciate a good artist. You know, I go for Loomis, you know, if you're going to go for excellence, don't go for me. And I got sidetracked. I completely forgot the train of thought.
Well, the train of thought was you were talking about the arrogance that you were all going about.
Yeah. So we learned a lesson of hubris. I think all of us did.
And you tutored under, and is it Carl Lundgren? Did I pronounce it incorrectly, or Lundgren?
Lundgren. Yeah, he was. He taught at the Art Institute, which I was going to, and he was looking for an apprentice, and no one raised their hand except me, and he didn't really want me as an apprentice. And I kept my hand raised, and finally he took me as an apprentice, and I learned more from him in 1 year than I would from the Art Institute in the entire 2 years. I learned a tremendous amount from Carl Lundgren. He was an excellent artist and an excellent teacher. He could be an asshole at times, but what artists can't. So,
and
for Dan, I want to go back to Dan real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
So in '95, I talked to Richard Garfield and Peter Atkinson. I told him you can get book illustrators to do work like for Magic and just pay them a flat rate. You don't have to worry about royalties and that kind of stuff. And I know my friend Donato's interested. And then I told Donato when I got back to contact Watsy, and like a month later they got rid of royalties and went with it. So I'm kind of responsible for the royalties being gotten rid of.
Is that, you talk about 1999 being a very rough year for you as far as a career goes, and I don't want to go into it if it's too painful of it, but you've talked about it, and I'm curious to know what happened that made that year so rough for you.
So I did a lot of work for Alderac Entertainment Group for John Zinzer, who is an amazingly cool person, by the way. And I convinced him to make me art director for a new game called Doomtown. And here, we'll put the camera so you can see my artwork on the wall in the back, other people's artwork. But he put apparently the contract he had me in was locked tight. And while I was art director in '97, Peter Atkinson wanted to buy TSR. The woman who owned TSR hated Peter Atkinson. So John Zinter stepped in and was a go-between. He told Peter Atkinson, give me the money, I'll buy Dungeons and Dragons and TSR, and you take Doomtown and Legend of Five Rings and publish them under WotC. I was the art director for Doomtown. So when this happened, my contract went from AEG to WotC.
Mm-hmm.
Under WotC, I art directed from 97 to 99. I was part of what's called the great layoff in 99. Hasbro was going to buy the company, so they had to get rid of any kind of dead weight. So they did this huge layoff, and they did it in a really insidious way. Now when I say WotC, I'm not talking about modern Hasbro WotC at all.
Right.
I'm talking about Peter Atkinson's WotC. There's two distinct Wizards of the Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And if you talk to us old artists, some of the older artists still hate WotC because they still think it's the old Peter Atkinson WotC. It was not a good company.
I have personally clarified to a lot of you guys that there is a distinct difference now with what's going on there on a corporate level. I really do believe.
Yeah. WotC now is just so amazing. It's so amazing, so cool. So anybody that wouldn't want to work for the company is foolish. You know what I mean? It's that cool. But the old days with Peter Atkinson's company was not that cool. So 99, I got a call from my boss, whose name I can't remember. So when Wizards grew, they hired people from anywhere. So they were hiring people that the guy they got to be president of the company was a friend of Peter Atkinson's, and I think he had like executive knowledge from like a shoe company or something. Like I don't quote me on that, but that's what I remember.
But the gist is he probably didn't really know what he was doing.
Not about the gaming field at all. No,
yeah.
he was about corporation. He fired Peter Atkinson. So
wow, what a buddy.
Yeah, so it was an interesting time. So Hasbro wanted to buy the stock, and my boss really didn't like me to begin with. So both me and Casey Lancaster, they gave a month. Usually as an art director, you have a month to get everything together, or 2 months actually, or sometimes 3 months for a prior set. Okay, this is the next set. We need this artwork by this time. And you had usually back then like 2 months to get it together, or 1 month to get it together. So on from 1 month, then I get a call 2 weeks later. Now it's 2 weeks for another set. Now then it's 2 days or like a week. And I told him there's no way that I'm going to be able to get artwork to you on time and assigned with this kind of deadline. They said, we don't care. So of course, artwork got to him late. It was like 15 pieces. They knew what they were doing. And I come to find out the contract that Peter Atkinson had me under and Casey Lancaster under was so rock strong that they had to do this in order to justify getting rid of us. So I got called, and my boss said, "No, I'm notifying you that this is your severance pay. You're no longer working with WotC." So I asked for a copy of my contract. They said nope. I said, "Can I get a letter saying that I was an art director?" They said nope. Yeah, it was nasty. So I found myself laid off, blackballed, because right afterwards. So what happened is, I got shit canned, and then 2 weeks later, Dragon Con happened, and the game I was art directing for won best graphic card game, and that's because I was able to I got Todd Lockwood to do work, I got Donato Giancola to do work, I got for $150. These guys are doing it because they're friends of mine. Yeah, because I asked them as a favor. I had RK posted cards. I had all these artists that I knew doing work, and I'd like to brag and say I was one of the best art directors, because when they assign artwork, it's not artists that are saying this is what we want to see. Back then it was editors, the people who made the cards. So you've got people describing a movie scene instead of a two-dimensional illustration. So they're like, the guy, and then he does a backflip, and then he shoots, and the guy falls. This really, it's like, no. So I would tell my artists, don't worry about any of that stuff. Look at the name and come up with something really cool for the name. Just get the name. Names are pretty accurate. Just don't worry about anything else unless there's a character that has to be specific in it. Don't worry about it. And I got some amazing artwork. So they won best graphic card game. So I contacted WotC the next day and said, hey, I heard that the game I was art directing on had won best graphic card game. And they said, that's none of your concern. This is the old WotC. Oh yeah, they were pretty much fucked. They pretty much, like, in a very Portland, Oregon way or Washington State way, told me to go fuck myself. Mm-hmm. And so I went on their list server, which I still had access to, and I typed a long message about how my boss was an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And I was drunk at the time. I was drunk a lot. And then 5 seconds later, realized what I had done in a moment of fit anger, and typed another list saying, "Oh no, forget about it." Yikes. And then they came back at me. It was like, "Oh, that wasn't a smart thing to do." And I got, next thing I know, no company wanted to touch me because Walter was the big boy. So here I was, blackballed, laid off, and then I got divorced 2 months later. It was not a pleasant year. No. I ended up living in my studio, pretty much almost being homeless. I've been homeless twice. So since the Watson times. Oh yeah. That's just life. So yeah, it's not like on a street homeless, but homeless as in having no place to live. Like I literally at one point rented a room from a friend of mine because I needed a place to live. So
that's harrowing, and it's something that people, I don't think, would even, I mean, you wouldn't think that could happen to somebody that, because
yeah, the Watsy during that time, the when Hasbro bought the stock, they gave a tremendous amount of money for it, and me and Ed Beard missed out on that. We were like literally days shy. They had run out of stock to give us. So because you were supposed to get $50 and $50, 50 shares, they had run out of it. So I think instead they gave us $100, or they just didn't give us any stocks. The money that people made from Hasbro buying their stocks was so incredible that it ruined certain artists' lives. Like Quentin Hoover died because of it, and Christopher Rush ended up dying because of it. Christopher Rush was truly homeless. Yes. So
wait,
if it wasn't for Will,
really, like how?
Oh yeah, so was Quentin Hoover. Yeah, like truly homeless.
Well, it destroyed. Now, okay, wait. Like, take it back a step. How did that happen? I mean, what's the story there? I mean, is it telling tales out of school? I've never heard this.
Well, I can tell you about Quentin because I used to talk to him quite a bit. I didn't talk a lot with Chris.
And this is the thing. The sad part is that I'll never be able to have a chance to talk to these people. Yeah. So you know, I might as
Quentin
well.
Was suicidal for quite a while, and he drank himself to death. And I used to call him up at night to talk him out of killing himself. Jeez. But him and someone else who can tell you a lot about Quentin Hoover would be Rich Kane Ferguson could tell you, because him and Quentin were close also.
I haven't had a chance to speak with him yet. He's tough to get a hold of, but I'd love to.
Yeah, good luck with that. He's a great guy. If you can get him, he's a fantastic dude. Like completely stellar. And he'll have he's got tales that just, you're going to be like, wow. He's true. I call him Conan for a reason. I call him King Conan now. So, cause his sons are now Conan, but, anyways, yeah, destroyed Quentin. So I wasn't the only one that got destroyed by this thing that happened. Like literally it was fun.
Well, I mean, but what's also, and I mean, then the reason why I ask these questions is because there is an ascent for you. You are not, you bounce back from it, and you have had like some pretty incredible, notable things happening to you. Mainly, one thing that people at least I was not aware of until I was doing my research is your airbrush, your airbrushing abilities. Which again, now, do you have imposter syndrome with the airbrushing? Because
no, that's Mutt. So there's two different personalities.
Okay, all right.
There's Bryon Wackwitz, who is the illustrator, magic artist, and then there's Mutt, who's the airbrush guy on South Street from Mutt Airbrush. And Mutt is a persona that I kind of put on to recover from this whole shit that happened. So what happened is I get laid off in '99. My life's bankrupt. I have no fucking money. I'm literally borrowing money from friends and food from friends to eat. And I remember I used to have an airbrush shop way before Watsy days on 69th Street up here, right in the outskirts of Philadelphia. And I left that to illustrate for Richard Thomas full time, to become a full-time illustrator. So I had the old compressor, the old airbrushes. So I grabbed it and begged the spot on South Street in a store to airbrush. And the guy wanted to see a sample of my work. So I did a couple of shirts and hung them in his shop, and they sold. So the guy said, well, can you give me more stuff? And they sold. He goes, well, I'll let you have a space set up, but you got to break down every night. I said, no problem. He gave me this little teeny space to set up, and it's just grew until I was half his store, and I was paying his mortgage. And then I broke off and had my own store in 2008, and got some business partners, which that's another story altogether. They're the reason. The 2 times I was homeless, they are the reason. Well, Watsy, the first time I had lived in my studio, but I had a place. It was a full apartment that I turned into that I used as a studio, so I wasn't homeless. But my 2 business partners made me homeless twice. So I got rid of them, the last one in 2011, and then the shop's been running good. But yeah, so apparently I'm really good with airbrush. I'm probably one of the better portrait artists and realist artists when it comes to airbrush on the East Coast. My stuff's been featured in on videos like the old Aaliyah video with
remember. Sorry about that. We were going to repeat that. It's I have Shih Tzus. Okay. I have Shih Tzus, and you see the Shih Tzus, because they were raised by royalty in Tibet. If anybody's approaching the castle, they're letting the big dogs downstairs know that someone's coming. But there are no big dogs downstairs, and there is no castle. So, whoa. 1 second, I'm going to mute myself and yell at him. 1 second. Oh, okay.
That was priceless. So back to
one second.
Talked about.
All right.
So back to what I was talking about with airbrush.
Yeah, the Aaliyah video you had mentioned.
So yeah, they did a video called "Missing You," and it's all the artists get together. Well, if you look, Genuine, who's in it, is wearing my denim set, and that was the first experience. And then Lot 29 Clothing Company, which is an offshoot of.
I remember seeing that video in high school. Yeah. I remember watching that.
Yeah, that was one of my first pieces that appeared on video. Yeah, and then of course the Diplomats, a lot of rappers who come to my shop and get stuff made. And then there's a clothing line, Lot 29, that came out of New York, and they bought a Biggie shirt that I had done, and the owner came back to me and said, "Hey, can you do these Warner Brother characters that we have licensed from Warner Brothers, but realistic?" And I said, "Sure." And they did it. And then he came back and said, "Will you do?" I ended up doing like 300 of them, and then they literally took the artwork, sent it to Korea because they were a Korean company, had the artwork scanned, and started making money off it. So I hit an attorney up, and the attorney told me, "No, you don't have a license to do that many of the Warner Brother characters, even though they have a license. You don't. So your best bet is to keep your mouth shut, because you'll end up losing more money than you'll gain trying to sue them." So yeah, but my stuff, the most recent thing is I'm featured in Netflix on the Warren Stories 2nd episode, and I'm featured. My artwork was just in a 032C magazine, which is a big fashion magazine in Europe. So I'm getting contacted. I didn't realize that it was being featured in it. So I'm getting contacted by Europeans. Yeah, I'm busy working. So I manage a store. My shop's not just an airbrush shop, but I sell graph supplies.
But do you have an agent or something that's like, how do they get your piece?
So the guy from New York called me and said, "Hey, I need airbrush stuff made," and he contacted my shop, and he contacted another shop here in Philly, and we did the pieces. I did my piece. He picked them up and he said, "Hey, that's for a photo shoot for a magazine. Do you mind?" And of course I was like, "I don't really care." So apparently got featured in a magazine in Europe. Went to Berlin, I guess is where either was in France or Berlin, I have no idea, but yeah, so now I'm featured in a big fashion magazine. So but I've done lots of stuff for lots of celebrities. I've done, with airbrush. I just don't really take any kind of, I don't see airbrush as what I do as a legitimate art form. It's really sad. I just don't.
That is, you are incorrect. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to let you know that your opinion is wrong, and that is just how it is. I'm sorry. You're just, no, not gonna let that one fly, because your stuff is incredible. And I want to bring it back because I want to talk about the Netflix experience. How does that happen? How are you? You're just airbrushing, and then all of a sudden,
everything, and then everything.
The phone call rings, and it's Netflix saying,
"No." So what happens is where my shop is. I'm on South Street. I've had a shop on South Street for going on 21 years. So I get a lot of people that walk in, like before Adele got famous, she came in my shop. We did stuff for her.
Wait, what?
Adele.
Okay, and
when she was in Philly.
By the time the interview is over, I want names of every celebrity. Like I'm talking, I name drop like a.
I don't know.
Oh,
It's. I've done stuff for all kinds of people, met all kinds of celebrities because it's Philadelphia, and they come to play at the
and your
tail end. This is before she got famous, so she was
and you're
doing sellout
talented,
shows at the
and
time,
you're
and she
talented.
was yeah. Well, this is back when she was still thick, and she was her fiance boyfriend slash manager was this Cockney dude who was with her. I remember him. I had years ago. I had his phone number as contact, but uh yeah, there's a lot of celebrities
I mean,
that come through
do
here.
you save these? I mean, do you have images of these pieces that I could see to
Yeah,
show the
yeah, not
audience?
here. No, so this is my studio, and this I separate from my my. So here's the studio. I don't know if you can see it here. That's my work area.
But I mean, as far
So
as images go, if to get images of like of the things you've done, so I can
oh
put
yeah,
them
yeah.
in.
No, I've got images. I've got the signed autograph from Matt Pokora when he came in. I guess
And
he's the Justin Timberlake of France.
and we
I
gotta
know
talk. I mean, we
personally
gotta.
like one of the dancers from French national TV. So because it's South Street, it's weird. It just so what happened with Netflix is someone came to my shop. It was a woman from New York, and she just came in casually because she was walking South Street and said, "Oh, this is unique." And she walks out, and then she comes back in like a week later and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing a I guess test for Netflix to see if they want it." Because she had written this book, New York best-selling book called Warren Stories. And she said, I'm really interested in what you do. It's really unique. I'm shooting a pilot that I'm going to propose to Netflix. That's what it was. And would you mind? I said no. So she came back with a photographer and they did a pilot, and I didn't hear anything for months. And then she came back and said, "Hey, Netflix took it. Do you mind?" And I said, "Sure." And that's Netflix contacted me. Oh, and the other thing I did is Elena, there's a country western star because Universal Music just this in 2021, I believe it was, or maybe it's 2020. COVID's got me
Right.
years, I don't know.
What?
But
Yeah.
yeah, so Universal Music Group hired me to do an airbrush carnival type airbrush shirt for Lauren. I can't remember her name, but she's a really well known country western star.
Now, okay. So I want to understand this. Why is your airbrushing? Why do you not consider that a legitimate form of art? Because I watched the document. I watched the documentary. I watched also your work that you did with the mummers.
Okay, yeah, behind the sequence, yeah.
Which I mean is so fucking cool. I mean, the up until now, the only thing I knew about mummers was the song by Lorena McKennitt. So like you have to tell me why that is not as valid as any other form, because you give me an airbrush gun and all you're gonna have is a giant like mess
So
and probably
there are
poisoning.
various art forms here in America that are considered juvenile. Comic book art is not considered a legitimate art form, even though it is.
Exactly.
The graffiti is not considered a legitimate art form, even though it is. And
Exactly.
airbrush, being part of street art, is not considered a legitimate art form. And
Even
for
though
me, I still have that mindset that it's still street art. It's still carnival, wildwood, because the majority of stuff I'm not doing aren't these portraits. The majority of stuff I'm doing is Pookie Loves Boo Boo with hearts. You know, it
well,
pays really well.
but
Like, because you knock them out in 10, 15 minutes. But it's not, there's no rush. There's no joy in it when I do it. There's
but
no, like when I do when I do an oil painting or acrylic painting, and it's even if it's a commission or a repaint, like when I did the repaints of Pendelhaven and Urborg and Urborg and Force Pike, even doing those, there's a certain kind of satisfaction I get from it when it's done. And I'm working on personal pieces now, and hopefully Watsy reaches out to me. I got to get the art director's info because I'm so out of the loop. But hopefully Watsy will use me again.
you downplay
The
your
airbrush, yeah,
airbrushing.
because when I finish stuff, there's no joy in it.
Well, I mean,
It's
but there's
it's
no
it's
joy in doing something exciting for Universal Music Group. There's no joy in it for um
no,
no, it's just okay. Well, but at the
no.
same time, there is such an honor, I think, because what you're doing, especially looking at the work that you do when there's a lot of death. that you have to get involved
Oh,
with.
oh yeah.
A lot of mourning. I mean, I imagine mourning families coming in,
Yeah.
and that I understand there being no joy in that, because how can you find joy in that? But there's an honor to it. You're giving people.
So I'm gonna sound really, really fucked up right
All
now.
right.
I do it because it pays the bills. Not because I enjoy it, not because I want to do it. I know that I'm giving the family closure by doing it. But there's a lot that comes with it that has no joy, and it's not just it goes beyond grieving families. So of the 620 murders, not deaths, 620 murders by firearm in Philadelphia last year, I probably did a good solid percentage of the shirts for those families. So I get to see the grief from mom, dad, sister, brother, whose
Yeah.
family have been immediately murdered.
Yeah.
And I know I'm bringing them joy, but it kills your soul. If I can sit here and laugh at death, I'm so numb to it that I laugh at death. Literally, my mom committed suicide in October, and I'm cool with it because I deal with death so much.
Well,
So, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you know,
it sounds really fucked up that I'm saying that, but
it doesn't.
yeah,
It doesn't sound fucked up, because here's the grieving process is not something that is to be decided by any one person. You do it how you do it, and
yeah,
especially
yeah,
with, like, only one time in my life I was working at the St. Pete Times, and I was a runner, and I had to go deliver. There was a boy whose family was murdered, and I had to I was a runner. I was a little peon there. They had me go
yeah,
down to the bad part of town and deliver the photograph and the information to the family of the son who had just been murdered. And it was the most painful, thing to walk in on this family. That everybody's crying, and I'm like, here's the
yeah,
photo of your dead son. So
yeah,
whatever coping
yeah.
mechanisms you're using, I don't believe saying fucked up is a correct.
Oh no. So I'm definitely borderline sociopath simply because of
Oh,
it. It's just
stop it. Oh, stop it. Stop it. You're
walk down the
borderline
street,
soci.
someone jumps, commits suicide, hits the ground. You're like, oh look, it's a brain.
Oh,
You know,
you are not, you are not a sociopath. You are just rampantly desensitized, my good sir.
yeah.
Because
Well, let's hope it's that. Let's hope
let me
it's
ask you something. Have you ever had a pet?
no. I'm too irresponsible. I won't have. I've
Okay,
had them growing up.
that's not what a
Yeah.
sociopath says when they have a pet. What a sociopath
Yeah.
does is they find a dog and they kill it, and then they're like, "Oh, what's next? A human." So you're not a sociopath. You're just
Yeah. That's
desensitized,
psychopath.
bud.
That's not sociopath. Sociopath is someone that does
That
bad
has
acts and doesn't feel guilt because they've been numb to it. Not that. Oh no, they feel
That's
guilt.
not what sociopathy is. No, sociopathy,
Oh, okay. So
psychopathy
I'm
is a
wrong.
dated term. I minored in psych. I did, so I know a little bit. But sociopaths are people who have no regard for rules, and they don't have what we would call feelings. They don't care. They have no feelings of caring, and they often, the real extreme ones, the 1% of the sociopaths have, the murderous tendencies. We get the Ted Bundys and the Jeffrey
Okay.
Dahmers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's
He was from Philly.
right. Oh God, there's this documentary about, they did the documentary where they interviewed the people who were the cops that were involved with him, and his in
I messed with one of the strippers that survived. That survived. So yeah, she was a wreck. Yeah,
God.
she was agoraphobic and everything else. Yeah,
Well,
but
that'll do it.
that's another part of my life that happened right after the divorce. After everything fell apart in '99, I
Well,
became kind of a bad boy. Started airbrushing, became Mutt, became a bad boy. Started hanging out with bad people,
but
associating with them.
but look,
So
I met you in person at the TCG Con in Tampa a few months ago.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't want people to get the idea that you are. I'm not, because I mean, you are not painting yourself. You're a delight. You were absolutely friendly as fuck. You're a lot nicer than you. You're just nicer than you purport yourself to be. I think that
So
maybe. Okay.
there's a saying between the West Coast and the East Coast, and the saying is that people on the West Coast are nice, but they're not kind, and the people on the East Coast and Philly here were kind, but we're not nice. And I think that's kind of accurate.
Shut up, you're nice. I'm from the East Coast too. See, there they go. Right there's the East Coast.
So I'll be in LobsterCon coming up, by the way.
Okay. And so, all right. So, like, but for people watching, yeah, Bryon and Mutt, they're nice and legit artists on both sides because, hello, look, and I'll be posting your airbrushing as we're doing this just to prove you so wrong, like how good it is, because it is amazing work. Don't make that poo-poo face.
It's carnival work, man. It's the kind of stuff you go to Wildwood or the Hoboken Beach or something else to do. I did it. I had a shop in Wildwood. That's how I know. So,
well, yeah. Again, I hate that your opinion's wrong, but it's just it is. It's. I don't know how else to break it to you, Mutt/Bryon, but you're incorrect.
All right. I'm not going to argue. It's cool. It's just I told you it's yeah.
I mean, I think it has to do more with maybe some emotional, like trauma that you took on from, having a rough career, path that was not the easiest, and you maybe are desensitized because you have to be because of some of the things you have to deal with, but you've had these incredible triumphs as well. And you're talking to me now at a point where you were, I mean, a lesser person wouldn't have come back from it, right?
So, I'm honored that I'm talking to you, and I'm honored that my art for Magic is that I got lucky enough that my cards see current play. So because apparently Pendelhaven just got reprinted again, so people are playing with Pendelhaven. The price has dropped on them, so which is good. Now I can get Pendelhaven cards so I can alter them. Yes. But I'm honored to do that. But the equivalent that I could tell you is when it comes to Magic. Do you remember the classic Star Trek with William Shatner's Captain Kirk?
Well, no, I've never heard of that one before, but yeah. What's water? I've never.
Yeah. Okay. So imagine now I understand what the actors in that show went through. My art career with WotC is kind of like, you remember that episode with the Planet of the Kids that never aged, and there's the oldest kid that didn't want them to help, and I was that kid. That's kind of how my Magic career is. Like, people still remember me, but I haven't done anything new in 30 years, 25 years, something like that.
You tease yourself and you say, like, I'm that guy. Like you the joke was, I'm that guy, and people don't know you by name, but that is not how my experience is. And as a matter of fact, I mean, like you come up in so many great stories from Mark Aronowitz, and I was always I thought that you were like hard to get in touch with. I was intimidated to get in touch with you for a long time as an interviewer. I didn't approach you for a long time because I thought you just seemed like I saw you with the OGs. I assumed you were a badass, and I was intimidated to approach you as a journalist. And so, I mean, okay, so maybe you say that you were like that character in The Thing, but then also that character grew up to become an artist who had people like Adele and Aaliyah, use their stuff. So, I mean,
not Aaliyah, Genuine. I think Missy Elliott has one of my sets, yeah.
But you know what I mean, in a sense that, regardless of what, I mean, and I'm not going to disrespect if you don't get joy from it, I'm not going to try to tell you that you shouldn't, that you should, and I'm not, trying to be disrespectful in that regard or anything. But regardless of where you've stepped your foot into career-wise, you seem to be popping up in a way that one would say is star-like. I mean, not everybody has I did early Magic the Gathering. I was approached by somebody, a best-selling author by Netflix. I was approached by multi-platinum, like musicians. And I get it. You've had some rough times, but you still continue to be exemplary regardless. So I think maybe just you might be just a little hard on yourself, sir, because whether you like it or not, you end up becoming a point of focus. You know what I'm saying?
So the reason I call myself that guy is I did a blog. I was interviewed by Not Another Magic Podcast was podcast a number of years ago. And the guy was literally said, well, I know you did Magic cards, but we don't know who you are.
Well,
And when I kept saying it, he kept going, "Oh, that guy. Oh, you're that guy. Oh, you're that guy that Donato talks about. Oh, you're that guy." And so that's why I took the misnomer of that guy because,
I mean, I don't.
No one knows who I am, but I'm that guy. Oh, you're that guy.
No, that's not true.
Like in a movie. Oh,
that's
that guy. Oh, yeah.
That's what I would call an ill-prepared. That's bad journalism to me. Like when I hear that, that made me cringe so hard for the person interviewing you, because like, I don't know who you are. Why would you admit that out loud? That's like saying like I just shat my pants. Like if you can get away with it, like without telling people, don't tell people. Because that's embarrassing. Yeah. That's their fault. That's the journalist's fault. That's not your fault. I know who you are. A lot of people know who you are. I can tell you.
Now, back then, Angus wasn't a huge commander. Pendelhaven wasn't a huge card. So it was before Commander, I think, came around. So
no, yeah. they're schmucks. It's a schmuck move on them. I'm sorry. The schmuckiness is on them. I tell you,
you've got to be New York. Huh? You're in New York, aren't you? You're from New York.
I have family from around the area that migrated down to but Miami is where my parents grew up. So but I'm also
okay, because that's a New York Philly thing. The schmuck and the schmutz.
Yeah, it's also I'm half Jewish, so it comes up. It's
half Jewish. That's like what if a full moon happens and
well, what happens is my mom's Catholic and my dad's Jewish, so I'm a cashew. And
okay. Well, so yeah, but so yes, that's I understand. My last name is Wackwitz. So
yes,
yeah, my grandfather got disinherited. He was apparently very wealthy and very Jewish and fell in love with my grandmother and got disinherited by it. So
disinherited because he fell in love with
Oh, my grandfather met my grandmother. He was a guard in prison and she was a prisoner, from what I understand.
Wow.
And then when she got released, I don't know why she was in jail. She was a wild one, apparently. He married her, fell in love, married her. And he was an incredible person from what I understand. I never met him. He died before I was born. But So
yeah, I didn't want to say, I was like, because like the Judar, it happens when you meet other people. I'm like, it's just kind of like, and I was like, I knew it when I met you.
I'm on my phone right now. I don't have a camera for my computer here at the studio.
What's that?
I don't have I'm on my phone because I don't have a camera with my computer at the studio.
Oh, well, that's okay. No,
that's at the shop.
I was just saying, like, when I, as a fellow Jew, I was like, I recognize the name, and I'm like, yeah, the Judar pops up. I'm like, yeah, I know.
But we're not, because it goes through mom. So,
well, but no. Here's the deal. That's what the religion goes through. But the genetics, you see, it's actually, because I did not realize this, and I might leave this out because this might be too touchy. But I was at work, and a girl came up and she said, I tested 3% Ashkenazi Jew. And I was like, what? That's ridiculous. You can't test Jewish. Jewish is a religion. Well, apparently it's a race. And
it is, but it's not recognized. It is. It's the Hebrew race, but it's
and it's and then I got my 23andMe, or my whatever the name of it was, Teddy Rupskin, and I got it done, and it's I'm 50% Ashkenazi Jew, and I was like, that I didn't realize that. Like, I'm this is my personally, I'm an atheist, but genetically.
It's once people, that's the my thing is we're all human beings.
We are?
So apparently. So even though I'm with Thanos, so yeah.
But excuse me. So you had some stuff you wanted to show off, and earlier you mentioned.
Sure.
I would love to see it.
So I've got to figure out how to reverse the image, so it's the camera instead of this one.
So if there's the upper corner usually on the iPhone where you can do the reverse.
I have an Android.
You have an Android. I'm sorry. I'm
Here we go. And boop. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So get up
and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute myself just so my reactions don't cut anything off.
So this little painting, and I'll put. Okay, so this little painting, that's my hand for reference. That's the original size of all of the original Magic artwork. All of it. That is the original Pendelhaven right there. Woo, woo, woo. So yeah, yep. And then the other stuff here is all stuff I did with White Wolf or Doomtown or.
Do you want to close? Do you want to close in on some of that, or I'd love to see
Sure.
it.
Yeah. So this was from Ars Magica. I don't know which book. I think it was third edition. I think Ars Magica third edition or fourth edition book. This is from Werewolf the Apocalypse. For the whatever the regular Wolf's book is, something Path. I can't remember the name. Another Ars Magica piece. So I started. Yeah, this was from a book called Drums Around a Fire by White Wolf, and this was a chapter illustration for White Wolf's Werewolf the Apocalypse, the one of the main books. And this piece right here was from Dungeons and Dragons from Wilhelm Reach. And more work. Let's see, Doomtown art. That's a piece my mom had from that I gave her of my Doomtown art that I took back when she died. This is a personal piece that I did about 5 years ago. And this is what I'm working on now. So this is what I'm going to be working on. It's another personal piece. And I'm starting to do more artwork based on Dungeons and Dragons because I'm a geek. So let's reverse the camera again.
Now,
there we go.
Now tell me, that the first personal piece, it looked like some sort of a sort of a monster or whatnot.
It's based off the Irish legend of the bull of the boar of Bull Binber, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the great heroes of Celtic mythology, and he fights this fairy boar and slays it. And yeah, so I did my illustration of that, my personal piece of that. And then the rest of the stuff I'm doing that I'm going to be planning on doing are all based on my love of fantasy and Dungeons and Dragons and just stuff that I want to do.
Now, what inspires a personal piece? What makes you, what is the inspiration where you're sitting there and you're like, I must get this out? It depends.
So I kind of lie with the airbrush. If I'm doing a personal piece airbrush, I enjoy it because I'm doing a piece of artwork. Like I don't have a sample here, but I have a piece that's called the Virgin Rihanna.
Well, did you just admit you got joy from airbrushing?
Yeah, I did get joy from that one. Yeah, but that was because it was an original piece. But it's instead of the Virgin Mary, it's Rihanna as the Virgin Mary, and it's so I have this really odd, almost German sense of humor, and so I'll personal. I like if it makes me laugh. So I've
that's
done
great. I love it.
Me laugh. Yeah. Real Yogi the Bear, and it's I got the sketch for it. I'll be airbrushing that too, but it's a real Yogi Bear, so it's a real brown bear, wearing the tie and the hat with the dead ranger. He's been torn apart, all the food scattered.
I'm sure Rihanna's a virgin
behind him as well. That's it, as a real one. And
if Madonna could sing a song about it, like a virgin.
Well, and the reason I did Rihanna the Virgin is it was kind of it's a play because we talk about how fucked up America is, and you got 12-year-olds listening to Rihanna learning how to twerk.
Yeah,
as though she's a virgin, as though that's the Virgin Mary. You want to imitate, and not saying anything against her as an artist. It's more of it's a piece of society's view.
Exactly. It's parents who aren't paying attention. Like Rihanna is not creating. She's not creating this for children. She's not saying I want to do this for children.
No. She's just an artist doing what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Get paid. God bless her, and she's quite good at it.
Oh yeah.
But it's also a stigma in society about how we expect women to be these virgins, yet us guys can be sluts and sleep with 1,000. So there's a whole bunch of deep, and that's why I did her as the Virgin Rihanna. That maybe she'll get the respect that she she deserves.
I dig her music. I think she's cool. I mean, she's, again, like you said, she did nothing wrong. It's just there is that home. It's either the Madonna or the whore is what women are given, and there's no in between. I mean, I did
it. The Virgin Rihanna.
You did it.
I'm sorry,
I'd
but
love to see.
so
I'd love to see that. I'd love and now, see now that's cool stuff too. Like, and especially
that's hanging in
because
my shop. I just have to go to my shop and which is 5 blocks away. But if you
and
hit me up, what I'll do is I'll take a couple of pictures and I'll send them to you, so that way
and and see,
you can post them.
that's where the airbrush can really come in and really like speak, like it can speak in a way that oil cannot, because of the streetness and because of the urban like aspects of it. You can send a message that is not going to be as easily sent through, say traditional oil paint. I mean, it's a skill that is, it speaks so specifically. It can have such an immediate and profound message, which is why I think that it's just as important as any other art form. Because when you see like a beautiful like piece of street graffiti, or when you think of somebody like oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. He's the guy who's blowing up everywhere, and nobody knows who he is. And I'm going to sound like a total idiot.
Tom McDonald?
No, he's Banksy. Is it Banksy? Banksy. Like is
the artist.
the artist? Yes. So yeah, Banksy.
Oh yeah, Banksy's been blown up. His work's worth millions.
But he does art that would be considered quote unquote not real art, because it's this and that. And that kind of thinking to me is just so like gatekeeper, old fart, like just like, let's keep the talented people out because we can't handle the competition kind of bullshit. Like like that kind of thinking is how that is for me. And I mean, you like what you just said with like the Rihanna, as like you can do cool stuff that will speak to a sect of people that will not be able to get to be able to be spoken to. And I find it so exciting. So hopefully,
but airbrush always will look airbrush. That's the problem.
Well, who cares? Oil painting can always look oil painting, and I mean, it's like it's because it's oil. I mean, like if you want to be I mean, it's there are people who can imitate it to the point of like like it looks photographic, but it's still oil paint. I mean, it's, you got to give yourself some creds, and you do got some creds, buddy. I'm just saying.
Yeah, street credit. Yeah, I'm respected on the streets. I am.
You're respected on the streets. You're respected. I respect you. You're very respectable. I mean, like I tell you what, you need just I virtual hug, man, virtual hug. Tell you what, because you really could just be nicer to yourself. Damn it, just be nicer.
Kindness makes you weak. Just remember that.
Is that so? Is that so?
Kindness in Philly makes you weak. Yes, we're a kind city
in Philly.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, we're not nice for a reason. But yeah, no, I've been in Philly for 40 years. And this is just average Philadelphia, and this is not. Yeah, I was talking to Jesper and Julie once. And this was at a convention or after a convention, and Julie started crying. I was telling her about my life story. I was laughing because I was talking about Jim that got murdered. I believe, Jim, a friend of mine that got murdered. I was laughing because the circumstances are just right out of a goddamn comedy movie. Which it's really fucked up that we say that, but I was telling her about it. She started crying, and I thought she was mocking me because in Philadelphia, that's how we mock people. Like, you tell sad stories, we go, we start crying.
You thought
we don't. I thought it was fake. Yeah, because that's what we do. We don't. Oh, you've had such a bad.
Do they have therapists in Philadelphia?
Oh yeah, yeah, they do. But even the therapists are pretty rough. It's just a rough. It's a very, very, very real city. Like New York likes to say it's real, but yeah, no, Philly, it's real. Like we have like what, a quarter of New York's population and far more murder rates. And that's just murder. That's just like shooting murders. Everybody I know that I associate with has done like some serious time, either in the Fed or upstate or whatever. So many months they've done. So it just is.
Yeah,
so we don't see this as anything. It's just normal behavior for us, as where West Coast people are completely fucking horrified by our humor. Like, I
mean, it's the humor I get, because the humor I understand, because when you have like darkness thrown at you constantly, if you can't laugh at dark, then you're going to just disintegrate.
Well, yeah, most people in Philly have what's called gallows humor.
Well, yeah, exactly.
We have gallows humor. So for us, we don't think anything of it. It's not really because we're damaged. It's literally because we're so used to this. that it's not really anything. It's like a soldier that's been, serving, and it's like taking a guy that saw, heavy service in Iraq or Afghanistan, and then, having him watch war movies, and he's gonna be like, yeah, whatever,
Well,
I've seen it. So
Tom Savini, the great makeup artist,
God, yeah.
he was a photographer in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And the reason why he was able to do the work that he did that was so incredible with all these horror movies is because he was responsible for taking pictures of these, like,
and he saw it.
Yeah, in person. Yeah. And he's like, there's again, it isn't like when there is a damage when you see murder. It's not like human beings we're creatures that are not meant to see these things, but gallows humor, it's a coping mechanism, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I could see maybe some West Coast person being like, oh my God, that's just so awful. How could you possibly laugh at that? And I'd be like, well, how can you think it's okay to have a caramel macchiato and think that it's something worth discussing?
Well, so with West Coast people, because we're getting a lot of West Coast coming here now, Californians. The Californians are fleeing. I can't believe they're actually coming to Philadelphia. Think of that's some kind of utopia. So New Yorkers, I understand. New York's just so fucking expensive that it's far cheaper just to move here and rent, and you're an hour and a half from New York, so you grab the train and go in every day. But Californians are moving here, and it's really interesting to see the California, like that cherry. Oh, hey, we have sunshine all the day, and life's so great. And we look at them and go, oh, fresh meat, nice.
You're like,
nice. Oh, good.
Oh my God, how are you doing? My chakras are just alight today, and you're like,
oh.
Which chakra is that one?
Yeah, that's yeah. If we're gonna keep this somewhat PC, I would still like to get hired by Watsy. So there's certain things I'm just not going to.
Don't worry. No, I know, and mind you, you get to see the video before everything's put in.
Oh, I trust you. The interview that you did at the convention was very tasteful. I'm pretty cool with anything that you do, simply because I literally make my living. I own a store. I make my living there.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I haven't actively really pursued Wizards yet for work is because I want to be able to do the work and not beat a deadline. And I don't know if I'm at a point yet where I can take the time off to do work for Watsy without beating a deadline. So
that's what Julie said as well.
Yeah. So like I could get one piece from them and finish that in a month. That's why I'm doing all the personal pieces. I'm doing the personal pieces to get me back into the groove of doing it. Even if it was airbrushed, I'd have to do it. Jesus Christ, 8 feet by 6 feet airbrushing for something like that for Watsy.
That's the thing. I mean, the secret layer airbrushing from Bryon Wackwitz. I mean, that would be so fucking cool. It would be so fucking cool. It would be like somehow airbrushing like Urborg. I mean, it would be fucking cool. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess
airbrushing Angus Mackenzie. How cool would an airbrushed Angus Mackenzie go? You could sell that thing like a mofo. Like, I know. I mean, I think so. I think it's. What do you think? I mean,
I'm good. We are fine.
you are no fun. You're no fun. But
so what everybody remembers me for is my early Watsy artwork. I was very friendly with one of the Hildebrandt brothers, Tim Hildebrandt. And at the time was friendly with him. Him and his brother had not talked to each other in 10 years. For whatever, something that happened. So I used to go over to Tim's place in Jersey and hang out with him every once in a while. And I used to love his colors, him and his, the Hildebrandt brother color schemes where they had these deep purples and shadows. So I tried to imitate his colors, and I couldn't do that with airbrush. I could only do that with oils, and everybody expects me to have that kind of intense color because that's the artwork that I had. And it's kind of like being a member of a band where you had that number one hit. People don't want to hear the new stuff that you've done. I'm 20 years later, I'm in a different space. Here's my new stuff. They're like, no. Inagata Vita. We want to hear Inagata Vita, Iron Butterfly. So when I start painting again, I want to bring that color scheme back in, and I'm not going to be able to do that with airbrushes as effectively. Airbrush, I've trained myself. I'm a realist. So with airbrush, I'll make it look like a painting, but it's going to be really super hyper realistic because that's just.
There's no way you can sort of like tweak and experiment with it. I mean, it's not something.
I would take too long. It would take if I had like my if I had extra money to just, bank on, didn't have to worry about the shop, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Then I'd be able to do it, maybe when I retire. But right now, this new piece I'm going to bring the same kind of color scheme into it, along with realism, and see how it plays. With airbrush, I just wouldn't feel, it's weird. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
It's not. It's valid. It's 100% valid. Everything you say is valid. I can't argue with how you feel as an artist, although I disagree with some of your positions of how you feel as an artist. I'm not trying to say that they're wrong. They just break my heart hard.
Well, just remember also, every other artist has one style, one look. So my friend Jeff Lobenstein, when he does work, it's a piece by Jeff, or Chuck Lucas, it's Chuck's piece, or Rick Kane Ferguson, As were me, it's dependent on what I use. Airbrush looks like a different artist did it than the magic artist that did those pieces.
It's true, but
so yeah, I'm trying to keep one art style.
I guess so, but at the same time, like to me, that there's an aspect of like, holy shit, that person can do this as well. And
is that a Night of the Living Dead shirt you're wearing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
Yep, it's got Dwayne Russell and Judith O'Dea.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're coming to get you, Barbara. With their dead brother in the background.
God, talking about. It's got the whole kit and caboodle. See,
that's okay. Fucking awesome.
Let me see if I can make it.
Yeah, it keeps.
Yeah. See, you could do airbrush. Like, I'm sorry, but just your airbrushing is so good. I was not prepared. I was not emotionally prepared to hear you say that you just didn't like about it. But I did get you to admit that you liked one of them. So that makes me feel good. I at least there's a ray of hope. There's a crack of light.
Yeah. If I do what I want to do, the pieces I want to do, then I enjoy it because I'm doing it. And for me, it's like street art. It'd be like if I did it on a wall or something. Except I'm doing it on like watercolor paper because that's my medium.
Do you get like involved with like say like the local schools? I would imagine they would love like people like not because of no interest, or just because there isn't any.
No, I have no interest in teaching kids. I'll apprentice people like one-on-one. But no, I people have been asking me to do a YouTube video and I don't have the balls for it. So
what about a live painting? Like a live painting?
No, that takes cojones, and I just don't have them. Yeah. My balls are just little teeny wrinkled things that just don't have the confidence to do it.
Bryon.
So I'm telling you that the most humbling thing in the world was going from being a celebrated magic artist to the guy painting in a kiosk in a mall, and that was the greatest crow pie anybody could ever eat. And I went from being a goddamn art director for WotC and a celebrated illustrator and artist for 5 Rings of WotC to literally overnight airbrushing t-shirts in a fucking mall in order to live. So
yes. But you also then went on to do other things.
Still,
so
airbrushing in a fucking mall.
I understand. I get it. I totally respect that you had a journey that made you humble, but and you're not. You're no longer the arrogant person you were, but you also are not a kiosk painter at a mall. Turn on Netflix and we can watch the segment with you. You got to work with the.
I'm a kiosk artist in a mall with Netflix. They don't show my good work. They literally show only the stuff where pictures pressed onto a shirt and airbrush around it, which takes me 5 minutes to do.
Well, that's as long as your sunshiny outlook on it is like, oh, the Netflix, the segment of Netflix of me is just like, it's.
It really is. People are like, oh, I saw it. It's nice. It's nice. I was at a convention, the one in Florida, the first one I think I saw you at. And this lady came to the table and she was like, you seem kind of familiar. I was like, Netflix. And she goes, oh my God, you're the t-shirt guy. Oh, thank you. Yeah. No, I'm the t-shirt guy. I am.
My goodness.
Around all these brilliant artists.
You are a brilliant artist. Oh my gosh, deal with it. You have to.
I'm a Xerox machine. That's all I am with airbrush. Is Xerox machine. That's literally all it is. Yeah,
Oh
there's no
my
creativity in
God.
it. None.
Like,
None.
I
So
mean, like, oh, young man,
yeah, it's
no.
just
Again, incorrect. You are
it's the
incorrect.
death of the soul. That's all I can say. It's
Oh,
the death of the
stop, Brian. Stop it. Stop it. Well,
now I understand what those artists felt like that did those little teeny paintings on lockets for nobles, and they're brilliant paintings. And if you go to the art museum, you go to the Met, or you go to like Philadelphia Museum of Art, you'll see a couple of them. And it's especially in the Met, those little teeny lockets. They're about like yay big, and it's
yeah.
this super detailed portrait, and it's beautiful. And people go, "Oh, it's gorgeous." And I understand where the artists were now. They're like, "Oh, another fuck off. Oh, that's such great work. Oh no." No, it's not. You got to see the stuff that I really do, you know.
All right. All right. Well, then
Or
here's
like
what we're.
Pablo Picasso. Pablo, his Cubist stuff in the Picasso letters, he talks to his friends. He laughs at him. He talks about how this is junk art and how people love him so much. And you know, it was.
But
So,
but don't you think that that's like sort of unfair to people who really do love your stuff? I mean,
I mean, like what you're going to like. I'm not going to judge you on it. Like, if you want to pay me for it, I'm sure, absolutely. Is it skillful? Yeah, I'm a master at my craft. But
well,
does it
okay,
bring
that's
me
good. Some
joy?
positive.
No, yeah, no. It doesn't bring me joy. So I just don't see it as a legitimate art form simply because of that. Like, it's.
So would you say that to another person who does it, who gets joy from it, and who is very successful? Would you say to that person, you don't do legitimate art?
I've said worse.
Well, why would you do that? I mean, if it doesn't bring you joy, that's that you like.
Well, the guys I've said this to have so much other potential, and that's what I point out. I point out that the other potential they have, like you're literally wasting your talent. This is good stuff. Don't get me wrong; it's very good, and everyone I've said that to has gone on and done better stuff.
But
so
to
usually
say
they go
that
to
it's
tattoos.
not, but to say that it's not legitimate, it's such a blanketing statement. It's. I just feel like you can't.
Well, there are artists out there that are doing legitimate airbrush art. It's not all airbrush art. I'm not saying all airbrush artists. I've seen stuff out there that's fucking amazing, unbelievable. So there are artists out there that absolutely are legitimate artists in their craft of what they're doing. What I'm saying is I am not a legitimate artist in the craft that I'm doing when it comes to airbrush.
Okay, all right. Well, that's up for debate, but okay. I will leave it at that, but I wanted to make sure before I let you go, I wanted to make sure that if there was anything that you wanted to plug that you had coming up. Excuse me, I had a little bit of a.
Oh yeah, so I believe it's April 13th to the 14th. I will be at TCG Con in Kentucky, and then I'll be doing Lobster Con, and I don't remember what month that is, but it's coming up. And then there's another couple of more events. I don't know. I don't really know what my schedule is until it comes up this year. This is the first year that things are really opening up, and I didn't plan to do anything this year. So everything I'm doing is kind of spur of the moment. People hit me up going, "Hey, would you like to do this?" Like TCG Con is the only platform that I'm legitimate. Like, okay, I am, So anyways, let me let you go with this. I got to call my son. He's having a breakdown. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for talking to me, and I really do appreciate it.
That's no problem. I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Bryon is a great guy, isn't he? And he's too hard on himself. I used to be hard on myself, but recently learned about how to be soft on myself. For instance, I forgot to pay the power bill this month, but instead of getting angry with myself, I simply just say, shit.
Bye-bye.